Gabby Press Commentary on ZeroHedge Article by Brandon Smith. The Key to Understanding the Cult of Globalism's War on the West. Gabby Press Analysis and Commentary on the Red State Citizen Defense of White Western Civilization. December 10, 2025. Introduction to Gabby Press Analysis of Globalism's War on the West, Revisiting MLK's Two Americas. Former North Carolina Democrat Senator and former presidential candidate John Edwards gently lifted the phrase, "Two Americas," from MLK to heighten the sense of grievance of black people against white people, in his campaigns of 2004 and 2008. The stump speech by Edwards included this passage, quote, "The truth is, we still live in a country where there are two different Americas, one, for all of those white people who have lived the American dream and don't have to worry, and another for most Americans, black, everybody else who struggle to make ends meet every single day. It doesn't have to be that way." End quote. Edwards was partially correct. There are two Americas, one based upon individualistic moral values of white Western civilization and the other based upon communist Democrat Marxist group collectivism. For example, the Somali people in Minneapolis are characterized by Democrat Marxist values and their shared cultural values of Somali society. The Muslims in Dearborn are characterized by Sharia group collectivism, not white Western values. There are also two American economies, one that incorporates large global corporations, and the other an economically hollowed-out economy that no longer benefits red state citizens after the Great American Betrayal of 1992. The ZeroHedge article by Smith explores the globalist attack on America's white Western civilization. Excerpts from the ZeroHedge article. Quote, "This is a war between mortal enemies who share nothing in common. They don't want to live peacefully in another place where they can experiment with socialism to their heart's content. They want to conquer and subjugate. Not all cultures are equal. The leftists hoped they could continue with their ideological takeover at their leisure. I would argue that without the billions of dollars in global funding provided by NGOs, government entities and corporations, the political left as we know it would not exist and the world would be much quieter. What you are watching is a highly organized machine flush with globalist cash working to undermine U.S. sovereignty. Globalism is rooted in cultural relativism, moral relativism, legal relativism, even biological relativism. My counter-argument to this philosophy is that leftists and globalists have no right to socially engineer the West. They only have the right to leave the West and start their own systems somewhere else. If they hate the West so much, why don't they relocate instead of staying here, or inviting in millions of immigrants that also have no respect for our heritage?" End quote. Jim Quinn, in his ZeroHedge article on the West's mass collective societal suicide, describes how the globalists are assisting the United States in assisted suicide. Quinn writes, quote, "The United States and many other formerly Western white developed world countries have been in the process of committing mass collective societal suicide for the past 35 years, with a rapid acceleration over the last several years. This invasion was clearly coordinated and planned by the globalists looking to create havoc, disarray, the tearing of the social fabric of a vibrant white culture, and the destruction of community norms which have successfully sustained our society for decades. The level of bribes, payoffs, corruption, and propaganda from feckless legacy media outlets are at astronomical levels when it comes to promoting and propagating this mass collective societal suicide. The amount of money to initiate and perpetuate this global years-long invasion numbers in the hundreds of billions and could only be funded by the likes of Soros, Gates, and their other Davos billionaire cronies." End quote. Gabby Press cites the funding by global corporations as the main source of bribes and corruptions which fuels the war on Western civilization. Gabby Press Commentary and Analysis, The Great American Betrayal of 1992. Tyler Durden is correct in his analysis that the American economy has bifurcated. In Predatory Capitalism, Gabby Press explains a technical economic term used to describe how global corporations bifurcated the U.S. economy. The Gabby Press economic term is internal corporate global value chains, which means that global corporations internalized all the supply chains under one corporate ownership, in order to absorb all the profits, from raw resource extraction all the way to the final demand retail market. Economic research on global value chains indicates that the transition to globalism increased corporate profits by around 65% since around 2002. The great lie of the great betrayal of globalists in 1992 was that the transition would result in much lower prices for American consumers. Instead of lower prices, the corporations absorbed all the value added and never lowered prices. Corporations have managed to evade the price discipline of competitive markets as a result of increased political power in the U.S. military-industrial corruption. John Edwards' so-called Two Americas is actually more accurately described as two economies, one that benefits 15% of the U.S. population that is connected to global value chains and the other 85% of the population that works in the gig economy. The cultural war in the United States is between white Western civilization and Democrat Marxists, who are funded by global corporations. The Gabby Press Red State Solution to the Democrats' Cultural Terrorism. In Beneficial Economics, Gabby Press argues that the government has failed the citizens. We explain that there is only one, unique, historical configuration of moral and cultural values that leads to prosperity for all citizens who share that common set of values. That set of values is called white Western civilization. Blue state citizens, like the Somalis in Minnesota, or the Muslims in Dearborn, do not share the moral values of white Western civilization. Neither do the black Democrat Marxists. The ideological differences between citizens in red states and citizens in blue states are irreconcilable. The best, most peaceful solution is civil dissolution, and red states starting over, at 1776, with a new constitution for red state citizens. The path forward for red state citizens. The solution is political decentralization of power away from D.C., and placing balanced authority back into the states. The solution is also geographical economic decentralization back into an entrepreneurial capitalist society, in what Gabby Press calls beneficial economics. The solution is the recrafting of society where all citizens share the common cultural values of white Western civilization. The solution means deporting all the alien cultures who do not pledge allegiance to the moral values of American individualism. About Gabby Press. Gabby is short for the Great American Business and Economics Press. Gabby is the imprint publisher of books and blogs about topics related to American economic liberty and how fair constitutional rules create mutually beneficial financial outcomes for middle and working class citizens. Our website offers an educational gathering place for ordinary common red state citizens to prepare for the urgent issues that confront the economic and political reality in the U.S. today. Buy our books direct from us at our website www.gabbypress.com.